tell them the story. Um, Wanted to, as I alluded to earlier, I wanted to tell you the story about the ambush buffalo. he's a killer, and he hates people. And I don't know what happened in his life, if it's just in his DNA to hate people, but the buffalo here don't like to be followed. And I was up here in the Bucky one day, and he stepped in the road in front of me, and I couldn't believe what a beautiful bull he was. Big bosses, he's probably 43 wide, lots of drop, just the classic Cape buffalo with a big athletic body. And this was 2 years ago. And so I followed him in the Bucky, just trying to get a better look at him. And if you look over here, there's a steep drop off. There's a cliff right past those trees. And I don't even want to walk out there without a rifle. My fear and hesitation is completely unrealistic, but I almost died here one day. So what happened was, this buffalo got ahead of me, and my wife's looking all over for buffalo. you learn lessons for a reason. And then if you go around violating the very lesson you learned, you're just asking for it. Yeah, so here I am walking around with no rifle. But as you can see, there's a cliff on the back side of these trees. And I watched him. He was 50 meters ahead of me. I watched him run down that cliff. So I drove up here and parked the Bucky. And I thought, I'm going to step over the edge of that cliff real quick and get a better look at him with my binoculars. I'd never seen him before. And he was such a beautiful bull. So I'm up here and I step around the back. I wasn't in a ATV, I was in a Bucky. I step around the back of the Bucky, grabbed my 500 Jeffery, and wasn't even looking. But I wasn't parked exactly in that spot. I was parked a little bit down here. Yeah, it's right down here somewhere. And we've since had the road widened, and so a lot of these acacias have been, there's the old acacia. It was alive when this happened. You can see the 500 Jeffery bullet hole going through it. That's a 500 Jeffery bullet hole. Anyway, which means I was standing right about here. He was hiding behind a bush. He had gone down that canyon. He circled back because he knew I was driving up, and he just waited for me. I would have been standing here, that bush would have been alive, and it was fully bloomed. And I got out of the truck and was not paying attention, not looking for buffalo. I was being stupid. You get too complacent sometimes. And I took off walking in a hurry for the edge over there because I wanted to glass down. And he snorted. He was probably 4 or 5 feet from me behind this dead acacia bush. And he just blew right through the bush. So I was standing where Kim is, and I knew I was a dead man, but what are you gonna do? You gotta try. He snorted and ripped right through the bush, and I had my 500 Jeffery like this, and I'm feeling for the safety, and I'm feeling for the trigger. And of course, your mind goes in that ultra focus, slow motion thing. And as I start to raise the rifle, I found the safety and the trigger, and the gun goes off right here. Now, it takes a lot of humility to admit that I screwed up like this. The gun goes off right here. Buffalo's face was 2 feet from the muzzle at that point, and the muzzle blast hit him in the face. The bullet didn't. It hit the trunk of this acacia tree. And so if you don't have a 500 Jeffery shouldered when it goes off, it launches itself, which the rifle did. It launched itself out of my hands. This trigger finger hit the trigger bow release for the magazine box on the way, and all the ammo spilled out of it. course, the rifle fired, so the chamber was empty, and it goes sailing past my head and lands a few feet behind me. Meanwhile, the buffalo, as he's busting through this acacia bush, looks at me with his left eye. And my face and his face are that far apart. And I made eye contact with his left eye. And he had so much hatred. He hated me. I don't know what I ever did. I might have killed one of his brothers or something. But anyway, he ran just 15 meters over here. See all that brush right there? He ran into that brush, turned around and faced me and just waited. And I'm sitting there going, you know, as rattled as I am and seeing that my rifle's laying here in the dirt with no ammo in it, I think I'm gonna pass. And I picked up my rifle and my ammo and kept my eye on him because he's just standing there facing me. And I worked my way back over to the door, got in the bucky, and left. Now, the next time I saw him was just 2 months ago. So we went a couple years, never seeing him again. He lives on this part of the ranch, and there's deep crevices up there, and there's real deep canyons over in this country. And every time, Chris has seen him twice, I've seen him twice. Every time we see him, he's up in here. And, you know, he snorted at Chris too just earlier this year. Chris saw him. Well, Chris was driving a bucky and he stopped in the road and snorted at Chris. He just hates people. I'll turn this off and we'll drive up the hill and I'll show you where I saw him 2 months ago, because he tried to kill me then too. Only I was totally ready for it, completely wise to it, and I didn't give him the chance. I was with the hunter, the gun writer, Jeff Hoover, and Jeff got to witness all of this, which I love, because talk about a scary education. And Jeff got to see it all. So I'll tell you the rest of the story when we get up there.
Careful, these ones can be.
Okay, folks, I'll keep my eye on this sable while we talk. It was 2 years later when I saw sable. My wife goes, "That's a roan." She's right, it's a roan. I misspeak myself all the time, and I usually get like 1,000 reminders on YouTube tell me how wrong I am, and they're usually right about that kind of stuff. Next time I came up here with Jeff Hoover and saw this big bull, he was drinking water right here, and he ran up this little canyon right here, and in the bottom of the canyon, it's really not that brushy. I mean, it's not brushy enough to conceal a 2,000-pound bull, and this is a 2,000-pounder. He's big. Anyway, he ran up in and stepped into the foliage just right up there, just 150 yards away or so. And I remember looking at him going, "Holy cow, Jeff Hoover was with me." I said, "That's the ambush bull. I haven't seen him in 2 years." And he disappeared up here in this foliage, keeping my eye on this roan. They sometimes charge. They just, African animals are so different than North American animals. So anyway, he's up here in this little valley behind this brush. So I pull on up the road, just right up there where you see the end of the road, which isn't the end, it's just a little summit, and I parked right there. And I said, "Jeff, this bull is right here in this brush somewhere." I said, "I'm gonna get out," and I had a scoped 416 with me, which if I'm gonna confront something that I know is gonna charge, I'd much rather have a double. I didn't have it. And I said, "Jeff, do me a favor." I said, "Stay behind me. We're gonna keep the high ground here, and I wanna walk over and get a good look at this bull." And so Jeff had a 9.3 by 62, which is a fairly formidable cartridge. And I said, "Just do me a favor. If this bull's tossing me in the air and flipping me around, start pumping 9.3 bullets into him, please." So I kept the high ground on purpose. They can't run that fast uphill like they can downhill. And this is very, very rocky. And so that makes it even harder to run super fast in. And so Jeff's following me about 20 yards behind me, and I can't find this bull. And I saw where he went. He went right up here in this patch of brush, and I'm like, this makes no sense at all. And so I'm looking, I'm walking around and looking, so I can't see him. So I walk downhill a little closer to the bottom of this little canyon. And I don't know what you can tell on this video, but in the bottom of this canyon is a ditch, because when it rains and we get a lot of erosion, see that ditch right there and see that brush? I watched him walk right into that brush. You can't really conceal a buffalo in that brush, and I couldn't find him. And as you'll notice, uphill is wide open, so he didn't go uphill, he was in that brush. And as I walked down closer and changed my angles, I saw the tip of a buffalo horn sticking out of that ditch, and he was laying down in the ditch, just totally laying down, waiting for us idiots to approach him from the bottom, which, I probably would have done a few years ago. And when he saw me make eye contact with him, he stood up and he looked at me and Jeff. He knew he was outnumbered, and he also knew we were uphill from him. And so he spun a 360 and just let out a huge snort. And one of the things I like about buffalo is they snort before they charge. And he lets out this huge snort, and he runs all the way uphill. Well, I could have easily killed him with my scoped 416. I watched him run for 200 more yards. Easy shot. But I don't want to kill him like that. I want him and I to meet on even ground. I want to have a double rifle, and I want it to be at close range, unless a hunter kills him first. This buffalo's probably going to die of old age, because he hangs out in really steep rocky places, rarely comes out in the open. And it's probably just going to be a situation where where he dies of old age. And we have a lot of buffalo here, a lot of animals that die of old age. We just don't hunt them that much, and some of this ranch is inaccessible. I'm going to walk up to this roan, see if I can get myself in trouble. There he goes. So anyway, if a hunter gets him before I do, fine. That makes me even happier. But next year, I'm going to come here and I'm going to hunt him. And I might even hunt him in August while I'm here elephant hunting. But my favorite kind of hunting is picking one particular animal, hunting him down and killing him. And that, to me, that's serious hunting. And so I'm going to try and get him before he dies of old age. He's pretty old. He's a loner. He just hangs out alone. Anyway, folks, hope you enjoy the story. Hope you enjoy the scenery. I'm trying not to cry. We're gonna leave this beautiful place tomorrow, and I won't see it again till August, and then I won't see it again till the next January. So trying to hold in the emotions of this immense beauty and the wildlife that inhabits it. It's just incredible. God bless, and we'll see you on the next video.